What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. We are here back live on a Thursday, another day, another dollar in the NBA. Got another game to get to tonight, Bucks Nets, another big-time game in that series. We'll recap what we saw last night in two absolutely unbelievable outcomes. We'll talk about them in just a second. Got a lot to do as we get closer and closer to the NBA Finals. We are here every day, noon Eastern, breaking it down. Whether you're watching it live, whether you're checking out the replay, thank you for watching. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button and always hit the like button every time you watch a show. Big game, culture, big guests. We get them here today. And we return our guest, Kate, Kate, you came on last week. I told you, I felt bad. I should have known better. I backed the Bucks full game. You said, nope, not doing that. I'm going to play it first. I think, what did you, first quarter? Easy winner. Very similar situation today. We'll see if we can't figure out where to go here. How you doing today? You can find Kate at Fixed Picks. We'll talk about that later. But Kate, how you doing today? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm glad to be back.
You did a great job last week. You outsmarted me. Oh, that's right. You had first half as well. Nice call. Yeah, listen, killed it. We'll be interested to hear what you think today on the same game just a couple later. Spread Astaire, normal guest here. We see him a few times a week. Spread, how's the NBA treating you? What have you been up to?
I mean, it's been so wild since the last time I talked to you, Jeff. I mean, it feels like it's been like almost a month with everything that's going on in the NBA. So, I was a little disappointed in the Bucks' performance last night, even more disappointed in the Sixers. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that. I know that I'm pretty sure where you're going to go with that, but excited to break down the game as well, Dan.
Yeah, it feels like the Sixers feel like a long story that has a pretty bad ending, and it's I don't mean to keep saying this, but like I'm vindicated every time I say it. This is what this team is. They've been this team my entire life. They've been through this process. I mean, it seems like 10 coronaviruses put together is how long it's taken. And it's still the same thing. It's still the same issues, the same problems, the same soft, fraud, fugazi, counterfeit, weak, bad players. And that was evident last night. I mean, just a disgusting, disgraceful, pathetic, inept, awful second half. And it's two straight second halves, particularly in the fourth quarter. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to begin. But you know what? It's not surprising. And this is one of the reasons I picked against this gutless group before this series started. The Hawks are everything the Sixers want to be and have tried to be. And then 1 or 2 short years, they're better than the Sixers. Because the Sixers feel like we're just going to skate through in the regular season, and when the playoff gets here, we'll just turn it on, even though they've never done that before. You've got a weak-minded point guard that is lucky to carry the gym sneakers of Andre Iguodala. That's where he is at this point. This is a guy that for 4 years has told us, he'll get better, he'll improve, he'll do this, he'll do that. Hasn't done ugats since the start of his career. You got a guy in Tobias Harris, the worst contract in the history of this town. You gave him more money than they gave LeBron James. And look at him. 4 points last night? Pathetic. Why is Furkan Korkmaz starting in a playoff game? Why are you still playing 10 or 11 guys, Doc Rivers? Pathetic. Disgraceful. The worst loss in the history of sports in this town was last night. And I'll tell you what, the fans in this town have all themselves to blame because they drink the Kool-Aid. They drink, this kumbaya attitude from this organization who should be in prison for selling the bill of goods they sold to this fan base, that this team was good enough. And then, to make it even more laughable, and finally, not to complain the whole time, but they tried to sell you that we should just accept Tyrese Maxey and Thibault, and look, nice young players. But when you have the opportunity to go out and get James Harden or somebody like that, you got to make it happen. this series is over and another failure for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'll tell you what, nothing will change next year. Spread, I'll start with you. Did I say anything that's not true?
No. I mean, we'll go ahead and give a little credit to the Hawks, right? They stuck in there. They didn't give up when they were down. Nate McMillan told the guys at halftime, like, you guys have to just believe, and it seemed to work out. But at the same, I mean, it was so crazy. That Bucks meltdown 2 nights before, to me, it was just, I was like, how could they be so terrible? How could they do this? And then the very next night, I mean, this Philadelphia meltdown was worse. They're at home, right? I mean, they're the number 1 seed, and at least the Bucks lost to, like, what I considered an all-time performance. I mean, one of the best performances I've seen in the playoffs in the last 10 years. So it took an all-time performance from a Hall of Famer to beat them. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Hawks, but it really felt like Philly just lost this game. I mean, I do want to give credit to Atlanta, but there's no reason they shouldn't. And I don't know.
They were up 26.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. And we know there's more variance with the three-point shooting, but still, this is just completely unacceptable, especially when you have a go-to guy who's just crushing, right? I mean, I don't know how Embiid goes from basically looking like the best player on the planet in the first half to basically looking like just an average role-player center in the second half. A normal guy you give $5 million a year to, right, that just plays 20 minutes like Willie Cauley-Stein or something. It was just unbelievable.
At the half, this was 62-40. Atlanta was on pace for 80 points. You're thinking another great defensive effort, nice bounce back. Look, I backed the Sixers first quarter last night. I completely pawned every Sixer fan in America last night. Took them in the first quarter, and then told you at the end what would happen, and it did. Kate, I want to talk about one point that I've been making about the Hawks on this show. Mm-hmm. I wanted to discuss the move to bench Solomon Hill, who needed to be benched. Look, they missed DeAndre Hunter in this series, and it means they have to play Solomon Hill more. But it also meant last night, I've been imploring them, give Lou Williams more minutes. Give Lou Williams more minutes. Give Lou Williams more minutes. They gave Lou Williams 23 minutes last night, and he delivered 15 points, a couple of assists. You didn't get much from Clint Capella. You didn't get much from Kevin Huerter. But John Collins continues to be a very good player. He continues to mature before everybody's eyes. Trae Young, crazy enough, as Spread kind of alluded to, I mean, Trae Young's the best player in the court in this series at this point. What do you say? I mean, obviously, there's not much to say when it comes to the Sixers. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, I think to start here, I think you can blame a lot of this loss on Doc Rivers. Takes his starters out with a big lead. Atlanta makes a run and waits a little too long to put him back in. And there you go. That's the game right there. They can't contain him. Once you get those guys, like you said, Trae Young going, once you get Bogdanovich, once you get Lou Williams, once they get going and kind of get in their groove, they're hard to stop. And if you're going to give them that space to do it with your starters on the bench and your role players trying to defend those guys, that's not going to get it done for you. And Rivers has a history of kind of choking in the playoffs. Yeah. In 2015, blew a 3-1 lead. Last year, blew a 3-1 lead. Blew 2 18, 26-point games this year. I think a lot of the blame can be targeted towards him. But then you do have to give Atlanta credit. The way those guys have battled back in the second halves of these games. I mean, being down that much, it'd be easy to throw in the towel and say, we'll get them next game. Let's rest our guys. But they don't tend to do that. And obviously it's paid off for them.
No, that's a great point. I mean, first of all, with Doc Rivers, I mean, look, Spread, I know you, I think you saw it. I want to say you may have even commented on it when I said it. I've been imploring this team for years. Back the Brinks truck up to Jay Wright and get him to come to the Sixers. He would do it. He wouldn't have to move. He would like the new challenge. It would happen. But they feel the need to not ever do that. But, yeah, really good points. I mean, I can't knock anything. You're right. They could have just said, you know what? We'll get them, in Game 6 down in our building. And they just don't have really any they don't have that in them, I don't think, this team. The Hawks are really impressive. This is well done by them. Nate McMillan with a job that I didn't think he could do. Spread, you got one final point. We'll give the last word to you on this. You got to be impressed, as of what Kate said, with just them kind of getting off the mat. Nate McMillan. Even in this game, we're not going to just forget about. We're going to just not forget about what happened and just move on. And they didn't move on, and they found a way to come back. I mean, it just, in the last 5 minutes, it seemed like absolutely nothing went well for the Sixers. They just happened to step out of bounds, or the lid was on the basket. And it didn't seem like the Hawks were going to miss a shot. That shot by Gallinari, the late shot clock fadeaway, I mean, it was crazy. Impressive. You got to be happy with how they responded, Spread, to not just kind of cower and go away.
I'm with you. We got to start getting younger coaches in the league. Doc Rivers won a championship in 2009. The league has changed so much since 2009. It's like the difference between the league in 1965 and the league in 1995. It's like 30 years worth of changes in 10 years. So whatever he did in 2009 to get that done, and having Tom Thibodeau help him design that defense, I don't know how much it really applies today. I'm always surprised when I hear these older names being thrown around. Number one, the league's changed, and number two, like, I'm in my 40s, I have problems talking to people in their 20s. How are guys in their 70s, like Mike D'Antoni? Like, why is he be thrown around for this, right? Like, let him come in, let him help out a younger guy, but we need to start getting younger voices in these head coaches. And there's so many teams that have issues with their head coaches, and I think it has to do with the fact that the NBA and these owners are just recycling these guys, and they're like, oh, well, he won in Boston with 3 of the greatest players of all time in 2009, so that makes him qualified to lead a team in 2021. I just don't get it. I agree with her criticism on Doc Rivers, and it was really tough to watch. I'm not even a Sixers fan, but just watching that team melt down and seeing the coach look so helpless on the sideline was not a good look for Philadelphia. And I really felt bad for you, Jeff, and the rest of the Philly fans, who I know are so diehard in their support of this team and just keep being let down.
Don't feel bad for me. I've said this was going to – and I think a lot of people wonder, like, what my – listen, I was rooting for the Sixers when most of the kids on Twitter that comment on me rooting for the Sixers weren't even alive. Right. I've went through 31 years of them just maniacal. They're a terrible organization. They do nothing right ever. The problem this town has, and the team across the street on the football state field has the same problem. They are never willing to give their stars players around them. They did it with Allen Iverson. They did it with Donovan McNabb. This is a team that makes no decisions correctly ever. It's incredible. Everything from not having a bench ever to not valuing draft picks to this stupid process to not bringing in good free agents and then keeping them. The one move they made that made sense was bringing Jimmy Butler in here. And then what? They got rid of him and justified the money by signing Tobias Harris and giving J.J. Redick $20+ million a year. I mean, that's what they think, is the right way to do things. One final point. In 5 games, Ben Simmons, by the way, the guy that everyone said was a generational player here, 12 for 39 from the free throw line, 30%. That's, again, Kate, Spread, and I could all shoot 39 free throws and make at least 15. I'm willing to believe that. Think about that.
Yeah. And I think the Sixers front office is probably kicking themselves right now for not trading Ben Simmons and getting Harden or something for a moment like this. Granted, Harden would hopefully be healthy, but you can't have Simmons be going to the line in key playoff moments and shooting 35%, whatever it was.
Jeff, and to your point about Ben Simmons, I saw a quote from him from today from 2017 saying, "Oh no, this Hack-a-Ben won't last."
Yeah, long. I posted that.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, then you know better than me, but right? I mean, that's 4 years ago. You obviously haven't been working on your game. It's a little disappointing.
No, he doesn't care. He does not care about getting better. Look, you can look at guys in the league right now that are at the pinnacle, guys that have won. Kawhi Leonard, I'm not saying he won, but we can all agree Giannis is a way better player than Ben Simmons. At least Giannis has tried to improve his game. Get a shot, get a jump shot, get a three-point shot. And there will be games where he'll go 3 for 6 from 3 or 4 of 8 or whatever. All these guys, Kawhi Leonard is the prototypical quintessential guy that when you come into the league, you can be one way and you can either go Ben Simmons route where you get worse, or you can go Kawhi Leonard where you just improve existentially. You get a free throw shot, and you're a knockdown free throw shooter, and you're a great three-point shooter, and you're a great defender. All that stuff is because Kawhi Leonard from San Diego State into the league in San Antonio and wherever he's went since then has gotten existentially better since the start. And that's all about your work ethic. Some of these guys are not, like LeBron James is just, he's genetically very good. Kawhi Leonard has worked to get to where he is, and that's where Ben Simmons hasn't. You look back to that draft when they took Ben Simmons. I mean, we have to look back and say that was a awful pick, right? I mean, at what point are we going to hold them accountable for these decisions when there's guys like, again, and I know he's injured, but Jamal Murray, I mean, went way after him. Jaylen Brown, Brandon Ingram, all went after Ben Simmons. Let me ask you, Spread. If I say to you right now, you could have Buddy Hield, who's at 6, or Ben Simmons, who would you take?
I mean, just because I'm in Sacramento, I would take Simmons only because Hield is so bad. Okay. All Hield does is shoot threes. I mean, he's really just J.J. Redick. That's all he does. He doesn't get assists, he doesn't get rebounds, and he doesn't he doesn't create on the offensive end. He's really just a spot-up three-point shooter. But I understand your point, and you're making it great, especially with the other two guys. I mean, can you imagine Jaylen Brown or Brandon Ingram on this team? Can you imagine Brandon Ingram giving Embiid the space to work there and how well those two could play off each other?
It's really sickening. It really is. All right, let's look at the other game, which, I got to tell you, I was a bit surprised. Listen, I blame myself here for taking Utah. I know during the regular season I'd have been all over the Clippers, but I feel like, in the playoffs you think differently and you try to go with what you think makes sense. And I thought this was a quintessential spot for Utah to come back. The Clippers have been so maligned. You lose a play like Kawhi Leonard on both ends. It's just so tough to envision, them being and playing well. But just a pathetic third quarter for Utah. I don't know what happened in the locker room. I'm just not sure I understand. But Spread, let's start with Kate. Kate, it's been abundantly clear that the Utah Jazz, if they don't get Mike Conley back, they're going to lose this series somehow. This is another team that just went from looking unbeatable to ordinary. They need Mike Conley, and they need him back in a big way. I mean, they just don't have a conductor, and this team is just a flailing, rudderless ship, it seems like.
Yeah, I would agree. I think without Conley, they're in trouble. I backed the Jazz last night, and didn't give Paul George enough credit to be able to do what he did without Kawhi on the floor. I kind of thought without Kawhi, the series might be over, but Paul George has really showed up and earned his flowers. I wasn't giving him enough respect in terms of what he's done in previous playoff series to what he's done in the last couple games. I do, however, think this series could go to a Game 7 just because, when you have a key player like Kawhi go out, the adrenaline of the team and the urgency to win right now, I feel goes up a little bit. But that might drop in Game 6 here, and the Jazz, I think, could be able to steal one in LA and send it back to a Game 7. But I still think the Clippers have this series based on what they were able to do and how they were able to affect the Jazz last night in terms of getting to their spots and getting the shots they want, and then also on the defensive end.
Yeah, good points. I mean, I think you're right about probably the adrenaline initially, but, Spread, playoff Paul George, how about this? What a playoff competitor he is. I mean, last night, 37 points. We see playoff P. He maybe deserves the nickname now. But he has 37. Reggie Jackson, 22. Marcus Morris, 25. Terrence Mann, 13. A very all-around nice effort. The Jazz are they're just not the same without Conley. I mean, how many times have I got to say this, Spread? I mean,
yeah. And we like to get on coaches here, and I think Quinn Snyder definitely does a better job than Doc Rivers. I do like his rotations. I do like the way that he's got this team playing and competing. Big mistake in Game 4 not sitting Donovan Mitchell. Why was he out there when they were down 25, right? That game was lost, right? And now you have Mitchell. Watch when he goes to the rim. That's what happened in the third quarter. I mean, the guy, every single time he cuts to the rim, you see him limping back. It's just he's not 100%, and I can't believe that I understand it's the playoffs and you don't give up. And there's also the issues with him and his team and the playing time. Maybe Mitchell didn't want to come out. But it seemed clear to me that he's not 100%. He is the engine of this offense without Mike Conley. You guys brought it up. It's all him. And they figured out how to attack Rudy in the lane. They're using the small ball lineup, and the Jazz are not able to punish the Clippers on the inside. When they go away from Zubac, Rudy should be feasting, and they're not getting involved in those actions. They're not running plays for him, and when they do, he's not getting it done. I think that this series comes down to the health of Donovan Mitchell, and if we see him limping around like he was last night, I think it's going to be a tough road for the Jazz to take care of here. One issue, though, with Paul George, last night he had no pressure on him, right? No pressure. Nobody expected them to win, right? I personally was on the Jazz as well. So let's see how he looks in Game 6 when all the pressure's on him, right? He's been, he's heard how great he was for the next 2 days, and he's going to be expected to do it. We will see how this turns out. It wouldn't surprise me if the Jazz came back, but I need to see a healthy Mitchell. And you guys are right. I mean, get Conley in there to give him a little break.
Yeah, Jazz have definitely fallen apart, man. Defensively they haven't looked good, which is kind of random just because they were very solid during the season. They need their full complement of players back. It's that simple. But nice work by Tyronn Lue. I mean, he's had to work with what he has, and it worked. And it was a great time to get 37 and 16 in 40 minutes from Paul George. So, congrats to the Clippers. They go up 3-2. All right, let's go through a couple comments here. Where are we going to start here? Bottom line is work ethic. Ben Simmons' work ethic. Yeah, that's the bottom line. There's no other bottom line. That is it. Ben Simmons needs to stop worrying about celebrities and co-eds that he wants to date. Stop worrying about that. Get in the room. But you know what? He don't care. This guy makes $40 million a year. What does he care about? He's a bum. He's a loser. He doesn't care. It's that simple.
One point on that, I was thinking to myself last night, if you're someone who's just getting bashed year after year for being a terrible shooter and not improving it, wouldn't you want to get in and prove everyone wrong? Wouldn't you put in the work to do that? And you hear about guys that do that, but you don't hear anything about Ben Simmons doing that. So does he have any, I don't want to say self-pride, maybe that's too harsh, but have a little pride in your game and your work ethic, and I don't know.
Listen, Kate, listen, spread. I didn't want to be 340 pounds anymore, so I went out and had some self-pride, and now I'm 222 pounds. It's pretty simple.
Amazing. Yeah.
There's no, and I think he should just come out and say it. He doesn't have that in him. He doesn't care about being better. He is just what he is, and this is the problem. The NBA and I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it, but the NBA makes excuses, and particularly this team makes excuses for him. This fan base makes excuses. Well, he is a great defender. I got to tell you, at the end of a game when you need a bucket, it doesn't really matter.
Half the league doesn't defend all season long.
Yeah, exactly. And, you also, he is emboldened because he makes all-star games, right? Which I don't really know if that shows that he's a great player. He's just popular, I guess. I don't know. But spread, feel free
I was just going to say, to me, it's almost an indictment of the way the NBA season or the NBA has gone with these players coming out early, because you got a player like Ben Simmons who's drafted at 19, right? He plays for 4 years, right? And then he's 23. He hasn't really done anything to work on him, but you have to give him that max extension, right? So now it's like you've got a guy that didn't really earn anything. He's already getting max money, right? I mean, it's like, I know, like Kate said, it's probably got to be rough for him, and then he probably goes home and starts counting his money in his mansion.
Yes,
and
exactly
does whatever he wants, and just turns off the TV and enjoys his life. And I don't really know the fix here. My idea was make it like the NFL. You can't come in for 21, but that seems to be, for me as a fan, I don't know how much that impacts the players or how fair that really is. But it's just really rough when you get these players that get the full extensions at age 22, and then they don't really have to do anything else. And you're just hoping, and it's almost like the honor system. Like, all right, we're going to give you all this money. Will you please work hard and improve your game? And we don't always get it.
Yeah, it's rough. It really, really is rough. And sadly, we just happen to have him, which it sucks. Okay, couple other ones. This is a good one. Jim, nice play on the Jazz alternate spread, little man. First of all, little man is a compliment. Thank you, Jim. That is very kind. I have strived for over a year to be a little man again. Thank you. He also says Clippers can defend and the Jazz can't. Pretty simple. Clippers are done. Pathetic take. Got to hold this guy accountable for once. Yeah, Jim. I mean, I guess the recording of my voice on camera every day isn't holding me accountable. Thanks for coming on, though. Appreciate you listening. But thanks for calling me little man. That was actually a compliment. Appreciate that. All right, let's get into today's action. By the way, Denmark up 1-0. How about that? Getting off the mat. Unbelievable, incredible. Beating mighty Belgium. All right, let's get into today's action. We just have one game today, but I want multiple opinions because this is a good one. Bucks laying 5.5 at home against Brooklyn. Total is 220. If you like the Brooklyn Nets, you think they can win, very nice return, plus 198. Remember, Brooklyn has the ability to close this series out. If you think they can do that, you might want to try to get some coin back as well with your play, and maybe just take a money line. Brooklyn, obviously, there's a lot to unpack with game number 5. Obviously, we know how good Kevin Durant was. It was a memorable, historic game. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it was Michael Jordan-esque. It's clear at this point Kevin Durant is the best player in the world. He's that good. But, at any rate, I thought there was some things that the Bucks, you have to figure, are going to figure out. One of which is the fact that spread. This line kind of speaks to you, doesn't it? I mean, for as good as the Nets looked, for the recency bias, for the comeback, let's remember, with all that went on, Milwaukee was up big. I mean, they were rolling. Kevin Durant just took the game over. It's pretty simple. We've not gotten much of anything out of Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. It's not like the Bucks aren't getting good shots. They're just not making them. Defensively, I don't think it's anything Brooklyn's done. They're not making any shots.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a tough game for me to handicap. So I'm on the Bucks for the series. I took them before the series. I thought that was a good price. I also took them before the playoffs started to win the title, so they're kind of my adopted team this year. And boy, was that a rough one for me. I don't know. Maybe KD broke my spirit. I have problems seeing how the Bucks cover this number tonight. It seems to be popular. I mean, the market loves them, and I don't understand. And I guess they say, okay, well, Kevin Durant's not going to repeat that performance. Okay, probably won't, but he's still going to be able to take over in the fourth quarter better than anyone else on the floor.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But real quick, the thing is, I think, and I was just going to kind of lead to what you were saying. I think it's easy again to look at Game 4 and say, well, you're not going to get Kevin Durant to do that. You're also not going to get 27 points from Jeff Green. I mean, right. James Harden looked pretty bad, to be honest.
And that was going to be my point. So everyone's saying Jeff Green's not going to do that again. Okay, he's not. But is James Harden going to go 0 for 8 again? I mean, I think that game gave him a nice feel. It was his first time out there. Number one, why weren't they attacking him on defense? You got a guy out there that's clearly not 100%, and you're going to attack the other guys on the floor? Just didn't make any sense to me. The fact they didn't double Durant when he's absolutely torching him. I mean, he was clearly better than all the other 9 players on the floor. He's 100% better than all of them. So we're going to let him work one-on-one. That didn't make any sense to me. I mean, hopefully they'll make adjustments, but haven't we been saying this about Budenholzer for 3 years? I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting just because I was so upset by the loss on Tuesday night, but I just don't see how this Bucks team gets it done. It just seems to me, even if they build another 20-point lead, right, once they start failing in those isolation possessions where they didn't run anything on offense, they're not using Giannis as setting the pick, they're having him as the ball handler, which doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems to me the doubt's going to creep in once again. And even if they build a 15 to 18 point lead, if you're sitting on a Bucks -6 ticket, are you going to feel safe?
Yeah, I hear you, and that's why it's hard to kind of envision playing it. But I think one thing that I feel like you can kind of take away is 3 out of the 5 games. Look, I think games 3 and 4 for the Nets, I mean, they were just weird. I don't know. I can't really make an excuse for the way the Nets played offensively. It wasn't good enough. But I think, as you said, you made some good points. Harden, you would expect to be, I mean, he played a lot of minutes. You'd expect him to be a factor. My concern here is that spread, we have, let's just say let's say at halftime, the Bucks are up 10 and, third quarter comes around and they're kind of keeping the lead and they're extending the lead. At what point does Brooklyn say, okay, we're down 15 with 5 to go, let's just pull our people out, and that's that. I'm going to kind of lead in leading the picks off. Does anyone feel like this game's just waiting for like a 125, 120? I think they're coming. I mean, the Bucks have shown nothing offensive. They've been so poor. And you've still had, the Nets have scored 114 or more in 3 of the 5 games. I just have to figure they're going to do something similar to what they've been doing for the most part in this series offensively, around, 115. I think the Bucks give you a much better offensive game tonight. I think the pace is a little bit better. Maybe they start making some threes. Bryn Forbes starts contributing. Pat Connaughton starts giving them something a little bit more. Middleton's making some shots. I just think 220, it's just getting – and I know this series has been an under series, but I'm going to just hope there's no single-digit quarters, which I think we can agree that, like, Brooklyn probably should never have a 15-point quarter. Milwaukee probably should never have a 21-point fourth quarter. I'm going to go over 220 here. I'm going to hope that this is like, one of the teams pushes 120 and this game goes over. I think it will. I think these teams are just going to shoot much better tonight. I think it's going to be a fun game. Kate, let's start with you as a pick. What are you looking here? What are you liking? You were dead on last week in the series.
Well, I might stick with what I had last week and go Bucks first half and Bucks first half over too. I think they come out firing in the beginning, just like they have in their last 2-3 games at home. In each of those, they've taken an early lead, and so I like the first half. I don't like the full game. Again, just because I don't think Bud is good with adjustments, like you guys mentioned. I mean, they've been getting torched on the pick and roll, and then in the fourth quarter, it's all just give the ball to Giannis and let him go to work, and that's where they lose their big leads, especially if KD's playing like he is, if Harden can actually get things going today. I'm waiting for Joe Harris to do something. Where has he been this whole series? If he can get going early and hit a couple threes, I think it's tough to play the full game. At least I don't like that. So I'm sticking with the first half again. I also like a couple props on Giannis. Double-double. I don't know what the juice is on that. I can't imagine it's too good because he's had one in almost every playoff game so far. Durant, I think, stays under his prop total because I would hope Giannis is going to guard him tonight after being called out for sitting in the corner last game. But, yeah, I'm with you with the spread. It's hard to tell because if Bucks do go up quite a bit, Nash is going to pull those guys and give them some rest. Right. If not, I don't know if the Bucks cover 5.5.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do like your call in the first half, 3.5. I think it's strong. I think they're up here. I think there's a lot more fervor in their step, and I think they get out with a lead here. Someone's pointing out that you cannot back an over in this series. I don't know about that. What do you mean you can't back an over? I mean, 2 of the 5 games have went over as far as this price. And, I think when you look at games 3 and 4, again, one of those games, the Nets didn't have Harden or Irving and only Kevin Durant. And the other one, they had Kevin Durant and 11 minutes from Kyrie Irving. So, like, I think you kind of take those out of it. And with what the two teams have now, I think they're poised for higher scoring games here. I just do. Let's be real. I mean, the Nets haven't exactly, with Kevin Durant and either James Harden or Kyrie Irving, with those complements of players, they've had no problem scoring spread in this series. We can assume that the Bucks are much better offensively here and put up 110-ish. If that happens, this game will get over 220. What do you think, spread on this game?
Yeah, what's been interesting to me? I think the reason a lot of these games going under is the refs are swallowing their whistles.
Yeah.
So that to me is an issue. And I was wondering, I knew that Kevin was going to get a friendly whistle in Game 5. But let's be honest, he won not because of the whistle, because he was the best player on the floor, and he cooked. And it's not like, he got an unfair advantage. I'm wondering how the whistle will work tonight, and I think that's the key to the total. If they call like a tighter game, I think this game goes over. But if they let it keep running like they did, like Game 4, right? I mean, PJ Tucker played like some '80s bad boy, Pistons defense. Like I'm sure Rick Mahorn called him after the game and was like, "I'm proud of you, man." I mean, that's how we used to do it. So I think the total depends on the whistle, and since I can't necessarily guess that, I'm probably going to stay away. It has been an under series, though, so far, so I guess I would lean that way, but I'm not really too keen to get involved.
It's a tough game. It really, really is a tough game. But again, I'm just going to kind of try to lean on points here. So, Spread, you're not playing anything here?
If I play anything, I'll take the 5.5 with the Bucks and then sprinkle a little bit. With the Nets, I'll take the points and I'll sprinkle a little bit of the money line as well. I think this team is going to have a lot of problems with pressure here in the fourth quarter if it gets tight. I think that's the bad thing about losing the way that they did. It's almost better to lose by 20. You just wipe it from your mind. I think the doubts will be creeping in there towards the end of the game, which is why the Nets will have my money, and I'm going to stay away from the total.
I mean, if Mike Budenholzer, if they lose tonight, he's gone, right? I mean, he has to be gone.
I mean, he should be gone even if they win.
Yeah, well, that's true. How about that Spread with the Wizards? They were going to bring Scott Brooks back, and then luckily those talks broke down for Wizard fans. But okay, Kate, you're going to go Bucks first half -3.5. I like that play. I think that if I'm looking towards some kind of side or anything, that would be what I'm looking for. So I think that's well done. You've backed them to always play hard in the first half, at least on last week's show, and I think it kind of makes sense again here.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks first half. I kind of adopted the Nets as my playoff team, so I might sprinkle a little on the money line as well, just because the payout is so nice. But yeah, Bucks first half. I'm also going to go KD under 36.5 tonight.
Okay, I'm going to do something different here. Wow, under 30. Wow, you're going to go. He doesn't play well. Okay, so you would kind of lead towards them.
Still playing pretty well. 36 points if he gets.
Well, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I feel like they need him to score like 40-ish, 45 points to win, I think at this point. But, no, that's interesting. Let me ask you guys. I want to ask both of you. Start with Kate. Kate, give me a final score of this game tonight. Yeah, I'm not going to hold you to it. Just what do you think?
I'm going to go 117-112.
Bucks.
Brooklyn.
Oh, you think Brooklyn wins?
I think Brooklyn wins.
Wow. Let me ask you, this is interesting. At FanDuel, you can bet James Harden scores 15 points or more and Brooklyn wins plus 360.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Do they have one of those double chance where you could take Bucks first half, Nets full game?
I know what you're talking about. I have to look. Spread, what do you think on how does this game shake out? What's
112, 107, Brooklyn Nets. And that gets you 1 point under the under.
Damn, man.
Price is right on you there.
So one of your predictions thinks it, one of yours doesn't. So you're going like halftime, full time? Is that what you mean, Spread?
I was thinking about that as an angle.
I'd have to look. I have to find it, but I would imagine it's surely plus money. So it might be an interesting angle. That actually is an interesting one because Brooklyn's such a big dog to win the game. I would say it's probably 2-1 at least.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Hold on 1 second. So you're saying Brooklyn to win. So Bucks up at the half. Let me figure it out right now. I'll do it right now. Bucks to be up at the half and Brooklyn to win. I guess I'd have to find a special bet because it's not letting me.
I'm trying to find it on Bookmaker right now.
Good stuff. All right. ID money, Brooklyn plus the points. Yeah, it's hard to not envision. Does anyone want to bet against Kevin Durant right now? It's hard to do so. Best bet for me, I'm going to go over 220. I'm going to kind of bust through and just kind of go a different way. I think the Bucks just shoot much better tonight. I think the Nets ultimately with Harden in a better situation. I think he plays better. I think Kevin Durant does his thing, and I just think these teams get a little bit more normal to where they are offensively. Both are pretty good from a pace standpoint. I don't think the Nets can guard Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't really think the Bucks can guard Kevin Durant. So I'm gonna just grab that high level shot makers make their shots in Harden and Irving and Middleton and those kind of guys. So not Irving, Durant. I mean. All right. Guys, great stuff. Really good breakdown, really good recap. I want to just quickly, before we wrap the show up, you talk, Spread, about kind of that older coach in the NBA and how we're moving away from that. Did you agree with getting rid of Stan Van Gundy after 1 year?
Yeah,
you did.
Same thing. He should be an assistant. He should be helping a younger guy that can actually work with these guys. I thought that a lot of things he did were outdated. He tried to emphasize defense. It didn't work, and he didn't really seem to get the most out of this roster. And I think they would benefit from running a more modern quality offense. We don't run the offense through the post anymore. So we need to get rid of all these coaches that grew up running their offense through the post. That's not how it goes anymore. They've de-legislated the game. It's just like in the NFL when you have the run-first coaches. The rules have changed.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I'll ask Kate. I asked this on the show the other day, actually yesterday. Does anyone that follows basketball or anyone in this country that knows anything about sports or where we've been over the last year, does anyone at all understand why is Chris Paul suspended? Can anyone actually give me a legitimate answer to that? Because I'm not quite understanding it.
Apparently he tested positive for COVID, even though he's been getting the vaccine. Your guess is as good as mine there. I'm confused as well. And, with all the health and safety protocols, I don't know exactly if it's, you test negative, if it's 4 days, if you have X amount of, I don't know how long he'll be out, but could be false negative. Maybe he's asymptomatic. I don't know. But unless they're lying about him not getting the vaccine and he was out doing something. But either way, I don't know. I kind of feel like, how do you let that happen at this point in the season? Like, stay at home, protect yourself.
Yeah, or why are we still testing for it is kind of the better question.
Yeah.
I know,
especially
I got the vaccine.
Gotten vaccinated, and it's documented that they're vaccinated.
Yeah, and I got the vaccine in April, and it's like, I just why it doesn't that. I don't know. It just doesn't that kind of. Isn't that why I got the vaccine? Right. So I don't need to do that stuff. But we'll see. We got a couple of days.
If depending on what happens with Clippers Jazz tomorrow, Game 6, the Sun series could be moved up a little bit, so that really could have an effect on their next season, depending on when that starts.
It's a freak thing. If you got the vaccine and he still got the virus, it's weird. I've noticed with athletes and if I feel like in normal America, everyone that gets the vaccine, I can't hear I haven't heard of any cases that people have gotten the vaccine and then got the virus. But I saw if this is true with Chris Paul, the Yankees had a problem with this where they had vaccinated people get how is this only happening to athletes? It's kind of odd. I don't know. But one other story involving the Suns. Devin Booker has rewarded a Phoenix Suns fan involved in an altercation with a Nuggets fan. There's a video circulating, I'm sure everyone saw it, where an individual got into a fist fight with two fans. And I heard this guy talk. Barstool interviewed him, and basically he said that he was just having a good time. He was, playfully hanging out with the rest of the fans, and everyone was acting normal to him. And these two guys came out of nowhere, try to kind of, punk him, I guess, and then poured a drink on him, and he just kind of went nuts on them. And I guess he didn't press charges against them because they took the first swing. And I kind of feel good for the guy. Good for this kid. Don't let these kids just come in and try to punk you. Good for him. Shout out to
a couple swings too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. Shout out to this guy. A lot of people just let people punk him. Good for this kid. And he's getting. I saw he's getting a T-shirt deal with Barstool. They're giving him 50% of the proceeds, and good for him. He's getting. I guess Booker's going to give him ticket spread to a game for the conference finals. You'd imagine there'll be very good seats and a signed Booker jersey. Which if you're any good fan, I get that thing framed. That would be be pretty cool.
Yeah, on the flip side, I'd also take a punch to the face and pop over the head for courtside seats to Game 6.
So you would? I would agree. I would agree. In this, let me say this: for Game 7, if I'd get Game 7 tickets Sunday, Yeah, I would. For any other game, I would not probably. Spread, would you do that? Would you take a punch in the face? And, not for nothing, this guy looks like a complete hero on the internet, so.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. And the best part is, Jeff, his action figure comes out tomorrow. There's an action figure.
No
I'll
way.
send you a picture. You can start buying it tomorrow.
Well, I have to say, I actually, I'm going to do it today. I'm actually going to purchase some of these shirts because I want to support this kid. I actually like the shirt; it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna get a few of these. So yeah, go support that guy, the Suns and 4 guy. No, an action figure. That's pretty incredible. By the way, also, I will say this: I feel like if you're gonna do this for this kid, you got to get that girl. Do you guys know what I'm talking about here? You got to get that girl in Vegas. Did you guys hear about this girl?
Which one?
I don't think I did.
I don't want to really. I'm not going to get too graphic with it, but there is an individual out there that's been on multiple podcasts that says she had a chance encounter with multiple players at one time. And
I have heard about this. Yes.
Yes, and from then on, they've played very well.
Maybe she needs a shirt too.
Yeah. As I said, the tweet was very funny. Someone tweeted out that when Danny Ainge fired Brad Stevens, that Danny Ainge shall call her and give her a max deal.
That was pretty good.
But no, they got to get her at a game too. I mean, embrace it,
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
sure if she wanted to get some courtside seats to Game 7, she could.
That's true. That's a
do
good
that.
point. I'm sure she could swing that somehow. All right. Before we go, I do want to give some plugs for these folks. I also want to quickly talk very fast about one game today in Euros. We got Netherlands and Austria. If Netherlands wins, Macedonia is out of this tournament, sadly. That sucks. But the Netherlands are very good going forward, very good goal scorers. I think this game screams both teams to score. I think both teams find the back of the net here. Austria shown that they were pretty damn good offensively in the last game. David Alaba up front. I like what they have. They're not going to have Arnautovic, though, today. Arnautovic is suspended, and he should be, for his disgusting racist comments about my country and my people. Shame on you, Arnautovic. Albania forever. Listen, I'm going to go both teams to score probably on this one. I'll update that a little bit later. Before we go, I want to shout out these folks on the show here. Spread Astaire. You see him a lot here. Spread, you're doing a lot with basketball, with Run Pure Sports. You're also doing, you are a tennis handicapper. You do a nice job with tennis. Let us know what you have going on and where we can find you.
Yeah, at Spread Astaire, and I'm just doing this daily NBA content for Run Pure Sports, and I will also be picking up the tennis as this NBA season winds down. I was finding it tough to do 2 daily sports properly, so I kind of divided it up, and I'm looking forward to it. The good thing is the American swing of the tennis tour will start right when the NBA is ending. So it'll be on ESPN. It'll be on during our normal hours, not like today where I wake up and I'm sometimes up or down thousands of dollars before I've even gotten out of bed, so that'll be really nice for me. So thanks for having me on, Jeff, and at Spread Astaire is where you can find me.
Very good. Make sure you follow Spread. Also follow Kate Constable on Twitter at Kate Constable. Kate, you're doing well in the show. I know you're doing pretty well with picks. You're trying to find your way. You're trying to do your thing. Fixed picks. You have an interesting way to pick sports, which kind of analytical. There's all different ways to predict NBA games and different sports. Let us know what you have going on, where we can find you. People liked your selections last week.
Yeah, like you said, on Twitter at Kate Constable. Also with the AI model over at Fixed Picks, which is FIXD_picks. It's an AI model we've created to predict NBA games. It's done really well in the playoffs. So get on that. Also,
really?
We are bringing
is that true?
Yeah,
really
well.
Good.
Yes. Like 7-0 in the last 7 games. That would be.
Whoa.
But I actually don't know how we did last night. I haven't checked that, but prior. Also creating a bet tracking app for serious bettors to link all their sports books and give you bankroll graphs and trends and things like that. But follow me at Kate Constable. Starting to get more into the betting game. We'll be putting out my picks going forward here. But thanks for having me on. It's been really fun.
Always. I will predict this now. Spread Astaire and I are just 2 mostly out of shape gamblers that just do our thing, try to find value. Kate Constable is going to be a host somewhere in the next 2 years. Mark that down. I think she's very professional. I think she's very good, and I think she knows what she's talking about, which I tell you right now, we talked about bloated contracts and Ben Simmons getting ugats amounts of money to do very little. The sports business is the same way. A lot of people getting money to do very little. So have dreams. If you're in this business, you can do it. I think Kate is talented, and I think she's going to be somewhere very soon. So not that she's not anywhere now.
I appreciate that.
She's talented. She knows what she's talking about. And plus, she knows basketball, which a lot of folks don't. But that's what we do here on this show. We bring on quality individuals that know what they're talking about. No fluff, no nonsense, just picks, just breakdowns, and we get after it. Follow me on Twitter at Jeff Nadu, as always, many of you do. Please go listen to my podcast, The Sit Down. It is the next big thing out there. I guarantee you this podcast in the next year is going to blow up. I have many plans. I'm going to interview the most compelling individuals in the history of organized crime. I'm going to talk to murderers. I'm going to talk to people that have killed 50 people. I'm going to do that. It's going to happen. I'm going to offer compelling stuff, interesting stuff. I know the mafia is popping. It's interesting. People like it. We just did a show on Al Capone, who's one of the most interesting people in the history of the mob. We set the record straight on who Al Capone was. And we make the case that he gets a lot of fanfare, but he's not as big as maybe you think he was or let on. So go check that out at The Sit Down 7 on Twitter. You can find The Sit Down wherever you get your podcasts. I'm the big man on campus. She's Kate Constable. He's Spread Astaire. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Tomorrow we're back. This has been a very long week. I feel like today's Friday, but it's not. It's only Thursday. Don't forget, Father's Day is coming up. Go take care of your father. The father is a thing in this country that we must have, and it must continue. Fathers are important. Make sure you go take care of them. You have a couple of days till then. Tomorrow we'll talk to Ian Cameron. We'll break down some more NBA. I'm sure we'll talk to these great people next week. Everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks, Spread. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate you guys. We are always presented by PicksWise and powered by FanDuel. I am the big man. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.